Here, guys, watch this for a second. Watch this for a second. This one over here, I could redraw as that and that. Now, is it possible that we could actually take one rope and cover all of that?
Yes. No.
I think it's going to be really difficult to get from this part to this part, right? Yeah. So that's not going to work. That means it's got to be connected. Yeah. It's got to be connected. Okay, so that's actually, so what we've actually just seen, remember how we were talking about bird brains? Is this an example that we're bird brains? This is an example of a bird brain, right? Because this has every monster is holding an even number of ropes.
But they're separated.
But they're separated. So it doesn't. So it's not actually enough that every monster is holding an even number of ropes.
But you also have to have all the lines connected.
So that was good. So we've actually discovered an extra condition. But now, if we have all of the monsters are connected and everybody's holding an even number of ropes,
or if just two umbrellas have an odd number of rope segments joining to them,
now do we believe that you can do it?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we're still on that belief that if that's the case, if there's no obvious reason that we can't do it, then we kind of believe that we can do it, right? This was kind of an obvious reason we can't do it, but we haven't thought about it yet, right?
But how would you show that that's true? We've kind of got two cases. We've got the case where every umbrella has even rope segments, and then we've got the case where all the umbrellas have even rope segments except for two. So you know what, that one sounds a little complicated, so let's deal with this one first. So let's assume that every umbrella has an even number of rope segments leading to it. Well, what are the simplest cases? Because that's a good place to start. That's where mathematical explorers love to start. I mean, who wants to climb a cliff face to begin with? Well, I like climbing, but well, what if there were just two rope segments in our whole thing? It could look like this or this. How about if we had three rope segments in our whole schmozzle? Well, it could be any one of these three cases. In all of those cases, it's pretty easy to see that we could trace all of those rope segments with just one rope. Right, how about if we had four rope segments? With four rope segments, it's starting to get a little difficult to count all of the cases. So I want to reverse and forget that line of attack, because sometimes that happens. You set off down this path and it turns out that there's a great big river crossing, and so you try off in this direction. So what is in this direction? Well, another place to do is to say, let's just pick a point to start.
If I came to this situation and I started off, how would I try and figure out where to start?
Does it matter where we start? Somebody is holding both rope segments, right? The start and the finish are under the same umbrella. Well, that monster could just tie a knot in those two rope segments, and then she could just sort of shimmy along. And so if we can do it at all, it really doesn't matter. She could shimmy it along so that anybody else actually is holding the two rope segments at the end. So we've convinced ourselves that it really doesn't matter where we start. I mean, if you're doing a big loop and you come back to where you start, it doesn't really matter where you start on that loop. That's another way of thinking about it. So let's start somewhere. Pick a place.
If we start here, we know we've got to finish here, right? Because that's the only way it can happen, because there's no other odd bits. How do we know we'll
ever even get back to that umbrella? I mean, we've got to. If we don't, we can't do the whole thing. But is there some reason? Perhaps I could pick a place to start and I could never get back. Well, this next interactive lets you have a little play around. You know, a little mathematical explore. See if you can convince yourself that you will always be able to get back to the start. Try some random configurations. I've put a little counter on each umbrella to let you know how many rope segments are coming into that umbrella at any given time. So pick an umbrella to start and then start chasing around some rope segments. See if there's a configuration that doesn't allow you to get back to that umbrella. Have a play.